Grant Denyer now.
It's Grant Denyer.
The gold logie this year. Oh my God, it's Grant Denyer.
And our mum, Shezzy Denyer. She's really crazy.
It's all true.
It's All True, the podcast with Grant and Shezzy Denyer.
G'day, you lovely legends, and welcome to another episode of the It's All True podcast, where we like to have some fun and say some crazy shit. I don't know why I always sing the opener, but
I have no idea.
it's a bouncy track. Let's face it, it's a banger. Gets the blood pumping.
Do you know what I was singing in the car today on the way home and there was no kids in the car?
9 Inch Nails? No?
After that, Baby Shark.
Oh, God. Yeah, I was banging it out with Sunday yesterday. She loves it.
It's a real issue when you're singing kids' songs and there's no kids in the car.
Well, that's when you know, you've gone mental. Particularly if you're alone in the car, you just sit in the traffic lights and you're singing Baby Shark.
I know. And I was even doing the hand movements. Baby
You
Shark.
are a loser.
And then I was waving to people. Yeah.
We were playing Tina Turner on the way to school today because she passed recently. So we were like going through her back catalogue and Jesus, she could sing.
She could belt out a hit.
Left for a job in a city.
I can't believe how old she was. I thought that she was, I don't know, 70-something. She was 83.
Yeah, jeez. Well, yeah, okay. When did she... Because I still remember from making probably the greatest football commercial of all time for Rugby League.
Yes.
Which was about 1988,
I'm gonna look that
89,
up.
somewhere there. Or it might even be early 90s.
She didn't... She wrote that song, didn't she?
Simply
and
the
sang
Best.
it. Yeah.
I'm not sure. Well, she's definitely sang it, but I don't know if
But she didn't just write it for that.
No, they just adapted it. And it was just beautifully shot and it made the sport look glorious and glorified them as athletes and great personalities. And it was an incredible campaign.
She was born in 1939.
Holy shit. She was definitely driving on a bloody riverboat,
Wow.
as her song suggested.
She was born in November, but she was a Sagittarius. Just, in case you wanted to know.
God, she had a voice.
Yeah,
Incredible.
she did. I was just trying to look up when she brought that song out.
Hey, speaking of the voice,
Yeah.
Jesus, we've got a great episode for you today.
What?
Yeah, I kid you not.
What?
The one,
What?
the only Anthony Callea is going to join us.
Yeah.
God, that boy can sing as well.
Yeah, he can.
One of Australia's finest. He's got a book out called Behind the Voice,
Yeah.
and he's with us. So let's bring him in.
Let's bring him in from our waiting room.
It's a beautiful waiting room. There's lava lamps and there's glitter. There's free snacks. You get a couple of snacks, maybe some M&Ms.
Oh, I wonder what kind of snacks.
Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, my God.
Oh, bloody hell. We're
Have you
live
fixed it?
we're live and recording. Come in.
We are here.
Oh,
Not
hey!
with good mornings, not with snacks, with our normal kind of morning coffee.
Good morning.
Oh, my.
Are you
What?
guys punching espresso martinis in the morning?
Don't judge, Deniers. It might be 10 a.m., but it's 9 a.m. somewhere in the world, okay? You have your morning coffee the way you have it, all right?
Do you know what? This is what I got this morning. I feel ripped off. Like a shitty little Nescafe number.
Well, geez, don't crap on Nescafe. They might
do it,
become our
do it.
sponsor down the track. Bloody hell.
And we're happy to be sponsored by Vodka and Kahlua.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the voice of the one and only Tim Campbell, entertainer extraordinaire, television host, star of stage and screen, and husband of Anthony Callea. Lovely to have you both here. This is an incredible breakthrough for our little podcast, to have people of such international caliber on
Yeah.
the mic.
Oh, please. We're just two alcoholics from the western suburbs.
Well, our audience will relate. They will love it. This is so good. Oh my God. I feel like I'm sitting down having breakfast with you. And through COVID, we kept being sent all your clips of all the funny stuff you were doing by Grant's mum. I have to say, she is your biggest fan.
Do you get that everywhere? I get that everywhere.
I was getting in trouble from my mum throughout the entire lockdowns because she would be literally calling me going, do you really need to post that, Ant? And then when we started doing the mime skits, like we would go throughout, because we're from Melbourne and we went through 83,000 lockdowns, when we were allowed to go out for like 1 hour a day for our walks, people would like yell out from their cars or walk past us and go, oh my God, we really love the miming. We really love the miming. And then I'm like, people don't know me as a singer anymore. Like I literally should turn into Britney Spears.
He finally crossed over to my career. You're a cheese and ham. Well done.
Was that just a need to get those creative itches scratched, or was it just a sign of pure madness and you were having a meltdown on Instagram and TikTok?
I think a little bit from A, B, and C, which was our good mate Dan Murphy that kind of looked after us as well. So we actually made a conscious decision.
Can I just say, because they made a rule in Melbourne, speaking of Dan Murphy's, but it wasn't Dan Murphy. They made a rule in Melbourne. So there was a bottle shop where we lived. There was a bottle shop literally 150 meters up the road. And so I was a bit of a regular. And then I had to make a deal with the lady behind the register every day because there was a maximum purchase of 3 bottles a day. And I'd go in there with like...
Which for any normal person is fine. You'll cope. You'll be okay.
And then, so she goes, Mr. Callea. And I said, please don't call me Mr. Callea. That's my dad. But she goes, I reckon I could do a bit of a deal with you. She goes, am I allowed to put them through in like multiple transactions? And I'm like, no worries. Whatever gets it over the line.
That is so good. That's why you need a local bottle-o. I have that with the local chemist. I'm not going to give away any,
The bottle-o is sort of like the local piece.
It's a different kind of daddy's medicine.
But we made a conscious decision to actually, when the lockdowns happened and happened fast, and obviously, working in entertainment, our diaries just escaped. Like about 8 months worth of work went in 3 days. So we made a bit of a decision to, I guess, entertain the troops is what we called it. So we started doing things online, but it did... So we did make a certain conscious effort, but then because of our complete boredom, maybe the odd drink and everything else, it just turned and went crazy afterwards because otherwise we would have killed each other. So
how much were you drinking a day, if we can get honest and frank here?
Just because we want to compare.
This is not AA.
Not yet.
Yeah, it should be. We haven't faced the facts yet. No, certainly was more like No, not every day, because we were getting out and doing a bit of exercise and keeping ourselves a bit sane. But there were lunchtime cocktails on more than one day. In fact, okay, let me set an example. Back in those times, we were having drinks with friends on Zoom or online. You weren't kind of getting up face to face. There was one night we were, and maybe because you're not moving, you're sitting on the couch. But there was one night with a friend of ours that. I didn't last the end of the Zoom. I literally passed out on the couch midway through drinks. I didn't even get to hors d'oeuvres.
Oh, classic. Well, we had that the first 2 weeks of lockdown. We thought, yeah, party. You know what? We don't have to go anywhere. Let's just stay in pajamas all day. Let's make gin and tonics at 1 p.m. By week 2, we'd blown up like little balloons and we were thinking we may need to rethink this if it's going to be a lot longer.
When we got to finishing off our 3rd bottle in one night, we were like, you know what? This possibly has got to a dangerous area.
Yeah.
Yeah, can relate. # can relate.
And the amount of shit that that I bought anyway. I bought a treadmill in lockdown, which I used twice, which I had to put together myself. I got onto this website, which I absolutely fell in love with, catch.com.
Yeah.
Another sponsor. We need a cha-ching. We need to.
Yeah.
Actually, we're probably going to give a really bad example of them.
Yeah, no, but like those Atkins bars, what are those bars that we have?
Oh, the Atkins bars, because they're healthy, right?
Yeah.
When you buy $350 worth and finish them off in a week, not so healthy.
Yeah. But they're really expensive when you go to the supermarket. But then I had to put that treadmill together myself, and I was a little bit nervous about jumping on it every day. So then I put it on a group text with my family going, does anyone want a treadmill? And my mum took it, but I didn't tell her that I put it together. So if she uses it, she's probably going to break her neck on it. But I think it was the day too that we bought like about $1,500 worth of like fleecy tracksuits. Yeah.
Actually, post lockdown, the local Sacred Heart virtually got the spring collection from us. So.
Did you get the pair
that tag was still on the clothes? Yeah.
Did you get the pair that had something like juicy written on the arse? You know what I mean? Like real classy kind of trackies.
Well, I'm from the West, but man, I'm not that famous.
No. I have a pair of those.
Yeah, she does, and I find them very hot.
I know, yeah, they were very saggy. They weren't, like these days people like to show their bits at gyms, they wear really tight pants. No, they were saggy lockdown pants. So well done you and your gravity.
I am a little bit of a fan of those pants the girls wear that have the folds that sort of go in towards the crack. I don't know what they're called, what that style is.
What?
You know, it's
I know exactly. Yeah.
the ruffled bits sort of around.
Oh, the bike pants that.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you lose weight because it's just too much. I don't think it's a style. It's just, it looks good. You've lost weight. You're 10 kilos off your butt.
Skin folds. What was it like? Because you two have been married together. What I'm going to take a guess.
Way too long.
3 years. It'll be 3
No,
years, or was
no.
it more than that?
6
No,
years.
we've been married for about
8 years. Yeah. Yeah. No, I was trying to think.
I was so far out.
Grant thinks.
We've been together for about 16 years as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think back to Slideshow. That was the last time that we caught up with you guys. Oh no, actually, we did catch up with you at the radio station after that. But yeah, that would have
Forgot
been.
about
I
Slideshow.
know.
That was fun.
that was a great show. Yeah.
Another lifetime ago. But
That's when TV was entertaining.
And rated.
Boom, yeah.
isn't that sad?
Yeah. For those listening, the Slideshow was a TV show of which there was a stage that tilted on about a 35-degree angle, and the actors had to continue to ad-lib their scene,
I think
regardless of the fact it was tilting on an angle. It was actually hilarious.
It
good fun.
was, it
and
was.
lots of theatre parlour games.
And I think you can still see it. The reruns are still being run on 7.
We all look like we're about 12
Also,
years of
sorry,
age.
I was going to say, sorry, for those who are under the age of 21, TV, right, is just these boxes and lights, and there's these panels, and you watch programs. Yeah.
When we think
so true.
think back to how lucky we were, all of us, in that period to be working and still be working, mind you, because the career longevity is a very difficult thing to hang on to these days. So we're all kind of very blessed that we still can work and are working. But like they were crazy days when we think about, when you finished second in Idol. So that was what, 2004? Yeah.
20 years ago. Nearly 20 years ago.
Can you remember the ratings of that grand final?
Mm-hmm. It was like 3.2 to 3.6 million people tuned into
Hit the
that.
clap button, Grant.
Jesus, let's get that up there.
Far out.
Isn't that insane when you look at what television does these
Wow.
days? It was a heady day. Of course, there were less choices around then, and what you basically had 7, 9, or 10 to watch, and unless you're over 65 and you watch the ABC
Or SBS. Don't leave SBS.
Oh, our good friends at SBS.
Yes.
But it was just nuts. It was goddamn nuts, wasn't it?
And you were a baby.
I was a baby. It was just a different time back then. And the thing is, I have really fond memories of that time. But at the same time, like it was truly scary. I was 21 and this kid that grew up in the western suburbs of Melbourne in a place called Werribee, which is only known for the shit farm.
The Werribee Zoo.
Yeah, like it's literally known for the sewage farm.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, I'm on this. What?
You won't be getting a tourism.
Scratch Werribee Zoo off as a potential sponsor.
But yeah, and then all of a sudden, it's this massive platform with, the basically most of Australia watching at the time. So it was
because people were invested back then. I mean, technology's gone so fast that you're right. I mean, they had those channels of TV to watch. Like your followers and fans at the time went on social media because you had websites, you had forums to chat, and that was about the only time you could kind of interact. So there was this separation as well. I mean, when we first met, because we met just after that doing a musical, to reach out to each other, I jumped into his MySpace to kind of say hi and connect. So that's
What'd you hit him with? What'd you hit him with MySpace? Can you remember?
Well, we'd been cast in a musical and it was really quick rehearsal. So I think I just said, "Hey mate, how you going?"
So blokey.
With that accent, yeah, right, yeah. And just
he's such a can man.
What?
Like I call like my Aussie mates, because I'm a little bit woggy. A
little bit?
Yeah, shut up. No, but my Aussie mates, I call them cans because it's like they eat things out of a can, like SPC, baked beans and spaghetti.
And the tinned spam.
Oh, I didn't even know what spam was until I met Tim, and we did the grocery shop one time, and he goes, "Oh, we need to get some spam," and I'm like,
nothing of that. No, I mean, I was Povo, but come on. But also that pineapple pieces came in completely round, beautiful round pieces like that. You never knew.
Yeah. And they taste so much better out of the can.
So you're saying he's not very domesticated?
No. We rarely cook. Although I've just discovered the air fryer. I know I'm late to the party. Oh my God.
No.
Oh yeah.
I'm in, brother. I'm in.
Yeah. And how easy is it? You pop it in because we don't eat properly and hardly even have dinner sometimes. So it's like we can have a meat and 3 veg like I'm growing up again.
I can't handle it. A kitchen should not be for cooking. A kitchen should just be to look at. And
this is the problem. I cooked the first chicken. He goes, "This place stinks." I said, "This is everyone else's house because they cook." Yeah, it's what it's meant to smell like.
But what happened when you were growing up?
Yeah.
Didn't your house smell like beautiful
Italian family? Surely there were just sweet aromas floating around everywhere.
It smelled like bleach. His mum's got OCD as well.
Oh, right.
Bleach.
That's the first time that Tim walked into my parents' place. He literally walked in, I'm not joking, and he went, "It smells like a hospital." Everything's bleached. But going back to when we first met, he slid into my DMs on the MySpace.
That's not a euphemism, that's true.
But we were both in relationships at the time, and he's like, we're going to be working together in a few weeks' time in Perth. It's a really short rehearsal period. We should just quickly meet, and we were both in Sydney at the time, so we ended up going for a quick lunch, and then apparently I met him beforehand, though. This is the thing. And I don't remember this whatsoever, but you can tell.
I think Grant will remember this very much so, because I was, early that year, I was doing Dancing with the Stars, and Anth was about to do It Takes Two. So, and you'll know this for sure, Grant. You'll be able to back me up. So one episode, the singers came in to promote the show on Dancing with the Stars, and I'm walking down the corridor, and this guy's there, and, again, back when live TV, and we're all getting ready. So I walk down the corridor, and I just see Anth, and I obviously know of him, and I just said, "G'day, how you going?" Walk past, I got nothing. And I know, I'm going to give you the visual of what I got from him. So you smell okay? "Hey, mate, how you going? I got this."
Oh, stone cold.
Just a head turn with not even an emotion on his face.
Take back to 2007, Grant. You'll remember Anthony's resting bitch face that he used a lot back then. Well, I got it backstage. So that was my first meeting.
Clearly, you didn't make an impact on me.
But I wasn't Chris Hemsworth.
Was that just a phase you were in, mate? Or, what was going on?
No.
Yeah, what was going on?
No, I now know that I have a very evident resting bitch face, which is basically my face 23 hours of the day.
Is that just your thinking face? Like your concentrating face and warming up?
No,
his truth face.
It's just my truth face. And I've made it worse. I've made it worse since I've turned 30 because I put so much Botox in my face, which was constantly resting.
Can you just give us for anyone watching this YouTube video at home, can you just give us a little rendition?
He's giving it to us now. I can see it.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
So it is the resting just thinking, but he's got that Italian thing as well. I mean, thank God he plucks the eyebrows, so it's not like one complete eyebrow looking at you.
It's actually very pretty, isn't it? My resting bitch face looks like this.
Everything's pursed. Like her lips look like a butthole.
I know.
There's a lot going on.
I have an issue with that. I need to stop doing that.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
we've all got issues.
Did you ever go through a period, let's be honest, and I think I did, where fame feels like it's going to be there forever? You get to a point where you start a little bit to believe your own hype. There is a lot of people around you, and there's ratings that are success. You're selling albums, for instance. Did you ever find that perhaps maybe your behaviour got a little above itself?
Not behavior as such, but the world that I was in for the first few years off Idol, it was an absolute whirlwind, and I was very guarded. I was very protected. I always had people around me. Like, I would never go into an interview without at least 3 to 4 people with me, and questions were already, gone through with whoever was interviewing me and so forth. The media training was just ridiculous. I remember doing, the label got me to do media training where I would do hours on end, like sit like this, talk like this, address the person like this, don't say this, put your hand out like this, don't put your legs like this. It was so intense that it was like they were trying to create a version of Anthony Callea, the pop star. And, I was only 21 at the time, so I had to learn, and I thought that I was doing the best that I could do. But I do remember going over to my parents' place one time, and my dad said to me, he's like, I really want you to have a really good time, and, I want you to enjoy what you're going through at the moment and so forth. But, maybe just reevaluate the people around you and, just maybe just make better choices, I suppose. And yeah, you do. It's very easy to fall into that trap of believing your own hype, and every career has its ups and downs. And I feel as though that you have to go through that to understand that it's just a job, and it's a really superficial job. And when I think about it, entertainers, performers, people like us, it's such a selfish job. Like it's so self-consuming. It's like,
it's great. Like it's a great job we give over.
Yeah, but also, it can be really self-consuming. Yeah. And it's like, look at me, buy my music, listen to my music, come to my shows, watch me do this. Like when you think about it, it's like, you're such a wanker.
When you're telling me the story about how they were trying to construct you into a human, you're 21 years of age. That makes me feel like really sad for a young Anthony Callea who's trying to discover himself, and they're putting layers and layers and layers on top of you and manufacturing you into something that possibly you aren't even close to being. That must have been...
Takes away your authenticity.
Yeah, a very difficult thing to process.
It's funny because I've just recently written a book, and all of these things that we're talking about...
Do you mean this book? Shut up. That book? Oh my God, that book. Wow.
I've just recently written a book, but the thing is, all of these things I've somewhat forgotten about over the years. But when I've had to unlock that vault and go back over my 40 years, it's brought certain feelings and emotions back to the surface, and memories of like, in the first few years, I used to go back to, my hotel room after doing shows, or like a whole day of PR, or concert tours or recording, and literally just cry in my hotel room, because on the facade it looked like I was, so busy and successful and so forth. But when I locked that door at night, I was so lonely, because it was...
Well, that was your only escape from the bubble, from that world.
Yeah.
And I guess, like Grant said before, that's huge ratings. It's huge. It's a huge commercial entity, especially more so back then with the music industry. Plus, you're dealing with your sexuality issues at the same time.
And it was something that I was trying to navigate at the same time, and I was trying to do the best that I could. But like in the first year of Idol, I think I ended up in hospital 3 times just from anxiety and exhaustion. And I remember like my Brisbane show, I was in a Brisbane hospital, and I told them to pull out the, what do you call that thing? The cannula. And I said, can you just pull this out? I've literally got a concert to go to tonight. And I rejigged the set list, because at the time the prayer wasn't in the set list so early on. And I was just like, physically, I won't be able to do this by the time I get an hour and a half into this show. So, and then I threw up on stage. I've thrown up off the side of stage twice on Idol and in Brisbane. I remember running off, and there was a bin side of stage, and I just like threw up, and I looked at the band. I said, vamp, like just vamp, play something. So yeah, it was full on, and I had to really unlock all of these stories again when I had to sit there for the last year writing this book. But it was sort of cathartic for me, to be honest. And I realized that I had to go through this all to get to the place that I am today, which is much better.
The crying is,
you've made me cry.
Horrible.
Even like in the first 2 chapters, you're so honest. And I can't imagine sitting back down and reliving that and having to discuss, finding your sexuality and then coming out and, being so confused. And just, I love the way that you write. And I'm guessing that it's taken a lot of energy to put all of that down on paper.
Is it triggering at all?
Yeah, like 2 days before, I'm not joking, I literally called my manager and publicist, and I said, I need a conference call. I need to talk to you, before we had to deliver the final book. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And they're like, it's a little bit too late. And I'm like, I thought this was a good idea, but I actually don't want to do this anymore. Having said that, now, fast forward 6 weeks, I'm so glad that I did do it, because the one thing that I did learn is that it's actually okay to be vulnerable. And that's the only way that you actually really connect with people, not just in a relationship or with friends, but just in general. Like to drop that guard and be vulnerable and be truthful is really the only way that you connect with people. And if people are going to use that against you, well, that's on them. I'm just not going to I'm not going to let my environment and people around me destroy me again.
Is it because this? Yeah, sorry, mate.
And I was going to say, just put a bit of perspective on it as well, because people say, well, coming out, that's not that difficult these days. Being gay, being LGBTIQ plus it's so out in mainstream society now. How can you not then? But we're talking about 2004, which again, like we say, 20 years, not even 20 years ago, where not only was we talk about the commercial side of music and TV and how huge it was. So the spotlight is hugely on you. A 21-year-old in a world where we don't have as much information at your fingertips, coming from, a really loving and beautiful Italian family, but can be quite, it was a Catholic, quite, conservative upbringing. Plus 2004, let's remember that 7 years previous, it was illegal to be gay in Tasmania, like illegal to be homosexual. And it wasn't another 12 years after this time that same-sex marriage was even legal. So it's a very, as much as it's only 20 years ago, it's a very different time as well. So just from a perspective thing, because we think these days coming out, that's pretty easy, isn't it?
I still know people who haven't been able to comfortably come out because they're from regional or rural communities and they're worried still about the judgment.
I get it.
And then we see the shift in the world at the moment. There is a shift that's turning back to conservatism. And I don't think I think it's beyond conservative values. It's a commercial and, capitalist kind of reason why they're doing it, but and controlling thing, but it's still there. So I totally understand why someone even of an older age, we know people older than us who haven't come out yet and can't. They just can't.
And like when we got married, like we couldn't even get married in our own country at the time. So we went to New Zealand and got married because I'm like, well, if our country doesn't allow us to get married, we're not going to wait for you to catch up. We're going to go to New Zealand and get married there. And it was so interesting that when it was legalized here eventually, so many people said to us, like, are you going to get married again? And I'm like, no, we got married already. Like, we don't have to get married again. Like, it's valid, our marriage now. Yeah.
Was it harder coming out also because part of the hype, part of the machine, part of the image, part of the record sales was that he's a good-looking young bloke. We want the girls and the mums to love him. We want him to be desirable and dateable. And was that adding difficulty to the coming out, the fact that you were seen as a heartthrob? Definitely.
As I say, like I did the best that I could.
From their end, yeah.
From their end, absolutely. The word coming out, it's not that I have it's weird because I was just trying to find myself, to be honest. Like I was going through my own process, like anyone has the right to get to know themselves. And yeah, at the time, there were so many people around me going, we don't talk about personal details. We don't talk about relationships. We don't talk about this. And it was just drilled into me that we just don't talk about it. And I feel as though at the end of the day, they were trying to protect me. But in hindsight, when I look back at that, it didn't do a lot. It didn't do good for my own mental health. I don't think it did.
God, no.
It was, but also it really fucked me up, to be honest.
The thing too is that because you eventually public coming out came from someone else saying it on media, like it was on a radio station, which back then people would say someone's gay or are they gay? And the speculation was a headline that was sold papers and sold news, and it was a thing. You do it now.
Were you outed by someone else?
Yeah. I was somewhat outed by a traffic reporter, in the air traffic reporter. Clearly, I'm really good in the back seat, right, Danya? No, long story short, I went out for dinner in Sydney about 2-3 nights before, and this guy was there, and I was out to dinner with my then partner and a few friends, and he basically went on radio, and we found out that this was going to break. And then he went on radio and said that he was out, he ran into this guy named Paul, and he was with his partner, Anthonycallea, and Anthony was really rude and dismissive. To be honest, I don't even remember this guy. If you're going to
resting bitch face.
Yeah, probably. And I was probably in the middle of like a gobful of like some food, and this guy's come over to speak. So,
but that's the thing. Like back then, it was something. It was headline. They would have sold that before the news break, and it would have been like this teaser.
Yeah,
and it was a thing. It sold papers. It sold. But now, Rebel Wilson's a perfect example. Is that the media will get shut down if you take control of someone's narrative because it's the wrong thing to do. Back then, it was a thing that everyone accepted.
And it was a world that I had to, being signed to BMG, and then it was like Sony BMG, like that was a massive machine. And I remember, like, even before my first album was released, they literally said to me, we're making money off you already, even before your album's out, because the prayer has literally paid for your entire album and this whole project. So, and then, the corporates and everything around it, like, everyone was making a lot of money from me. So, they wanted to protect that as well. And I was just dumb, really. I didn't have any, not that I was dumb, but I had no life experiences to base my decisions on. So I'm just this kid going, okay, that's what I have to do because that person told me that, So
it's also a career you wanted. So you finally, in a quick time, you've found a career that you've always wanted and were passionate about since you were 5. But you know how to sing, but how do you play the commercial side of it? I don't know.
Did you find
you're a commodity?
Yeah, I was just going to say, sometimes people can get to a point, and I know I'm guilty of this, where you feel like you are just a commodity to make the machine money. When you're on a roll and things are working well and you're selling the fastest selling Australian single of all time, Still the Prayer, which was yours. Did you get to the point where you just felt like everyone wants something from me? I've only got so much I can give to everyone. And there's that sense of burnout where you almost get to a point of resenting things because all you are is just making money for everyone, and no one actually genuinely cares how you are going.
You're exhausted. You're exhausted. And I felt that on quite a few occasions over the past 20 years. And that's why we make a conscious effort now, the two of us, that, our job is brilliant. And we're both so very thankful to be able to wake up every day and do what we love to do as a job. And, not many people get to say that. And we're very fortunate. So I'm not going to sit here and go, poor me, at all. But we do make a conscious effort to clock off. Like, when we come home or when we're going out and so forth, like, I don't want to talk about work. I don't want to talk about singing. I don't want to talk about perform. Like, a lot of our friends too, like, it's so funny. Most of our friends are not part of the industry. And I love that. And I think it's,
we just consciously have time out for the work and spend a lot of time with the kids. It's important to keep the families happy.
And that is important, having friends who aren't in the industry. We're the same. Yeah. But it's nice having a partner who understands the demands and the sacrifices.
Yeah, I wish I had one.
In the
dance, monkey, dance.
Go out and pay them bills.
But it's also nice, having that, that time, that time out. It's a funny, when you look back, and I don't think I've got any regrets about things. Not yet. You wait till you sit down to write your book.
Yeah, exactly. I'm too afraid to start it. There's probably times when I wished I had finished a relationship with an Australian network, Channel 7, a little bit better when I reached burnout. Where I just I dropped everything and ran away because I had nothing left in me, and I knew I needed to go get help before it got so bad that I couldn't come back from it. And the problem was with that relationship that they'd put a lot of effort and time into me, and I was at a point where I felt like not one person. I was clearly unwell. You only had to look at me and go, that guy is not well at all. But not one person was like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you all right? Because no one wanted to ask, because no one wanted the ride to stop. No one wanted the carousel to finish. They wanted, and it's a difficult thing to arrive at. And I'm lucky I still have a career in television, because I literally just walked out on Channel 7. I was partway through a series, and they needed me to come back to finish, and I was like, I'm out, because if I don't go and get some help, then I won't be here. I simply won't be here. But I sympathise with you, because when that machine is grinding, you're so thankful for where you are. You also don't want to raise the alarm. You don't want to go, I'm struggling, because you don't want to let them down, and you revert back to little boy you that was like, I can't believe where I am right now. This is everything I dreamed but never thought would imagine, and I'm in this spot. So at the same time, no one was ever asking, are you okay? I was too afraid. I don't know about you. I was too afraid to say I need some help because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. And that perfectionist in you, that people pleaser in you is like, I don't want to let anyone down. But in not letting anyone down, I almost ended up.
You go into survival mode. It's like this thing just clicks and it's just like, what do I have to do to survive? And yeah, and like what you've gone through, it's something that you don't have to feel bad about or you have to even apologize for because you did what you needed to do to save your own self. And I think that should be encouraged even more so. And yeah, I know that I've made a conscious effort, like even through COVID, like, yeah, I was that person that never really asked for help. Like when I came out to my parents, my dad got me help, which I was very fortunate about, and he was so supportive. But then I didn't really see anyone for many years after that. But then I think it was just before COVID hit and so forth, like I started seeing a psychologist again. And then throughout COVID, like I went and spoke to him on multiple occasions and so forth. And then after that, I've just started, like I saw a counselor for a certain other issue, blah, blah, blah. But like, it's actually okay to talk about that and be honest and vulnerable about that. And I think that should be encouraged and it shouldn't be something that you should be ashamed of. Because we're all human beings.
Yeah, we all make mistakes, and that's the rich tapestry of life. I saw a great saying the other day say, never apologize for what you did when you were just trying to survive. And that was a really liberating...
I put that up for you.
Yeah, you wrote it on the mirror as I woke up in the morning.
But it's funny because we work in the entertainment industry and a lot of us, you know, because it's part of our DNA and we love it. So we really focus on the entertainment part, but not a lot on the industry part. Yeah. And I think whenever I've even spoke or done workshops with performers, I spend more time on the industry part. I think you guys have got the entertainment part covered. You know where you sit, you know where you've got to learn, you can fine tune all that. Let's talk about the industry, and not just from a finance point of view, but the industry you're about to go in. It is fickle. It is. I mean, I'm not surprised at all that no one asks you, how are you, Grant? Because, I mean, I'll say there's no loyalty in television. They kept you there because you're a great talent. And there's a means to an end the way they kept you there, not because they love you and want to pursue your career. They're making, you know, some dollars out of you. So that's with everybody. So there's no... So if you buy into your publicity, if you buy into your marketing, if you buy into, you know, the middle-aged man with his leg on the desk in the CEO's office and him going, you're a great talent, mate, then unfortunately, you might learn the hard way that there's not a lot of, you know, sincerity to that. No. So I think that's for people like us, we're survivors because everybody, and this is outside of the entertainment industry, everybody should be the CEO of themselves, always. And
where the sincerity is the audience, and that's 100%. That's what I 100%. I absolutely love, and we both love, like live entertainment for us. Like you can coop us in a studio, you know, I can record in a studio for weeks on end or do interviews and so forth. But when you step on that stage with a live audience, that's where I just go into this happy place in my head. And I'm like, this is why we do what we do.
And it's not about the applause too. It's actually about how you can see, like the tour we're doing at the moment, we're seeing how it affects people and how people are clocking off from their life. They've made a choice to come along and have a bit of fun. And they're just, to give someone the great 2.5 hours experience is just...
And it's also a privilege.
Makes everything.
But it's also a privilege to do what we do. Like, you know, this year we thought that we would do this. We've never done a tour together before. And so we thought, you know, this is something new. We should tour together. And we thought that we would literally do a handful of shows.
We put 12 shows on sale. We're now up to 26.
26.
Hey!
Of which 16 are sold out. A few have got a few more tickets. Like it's been...
So the tour
that's the industry part of it as well. But what it does create is opportunity. And so we have this great opportunity to be able to make people feel great. And that's what it's about for us.
And especially in this day and age with cost of living and so forth, like we are so thankful and so fortunate to have people that spend their good money to come and watch us literally do what we love on stage. And that clearly, you know, it's a really beautiful thing. And I always try and hone in on that as much as possible.
And spread our butts off to make sure they get their money's worth.
Absolutely. But, you know, when you do, we all wake up and we all go, oh God, I can't be fucked with today. But then I go, you know what? How many people get to do what we do, live a really great life, work a casual part-time
Work
schedule.
Live 100 meters from a bottle shop.
Have a secret dodgy deal.
Permanently free. We moved. To make it convenient.
It makes me so happy when you talk about that because, you know, entertainment is a great privilege. And, you know, I don't know if it's grown. I was kind of raised by a television, single mum, you know, an area of Melbourne that was, you know, was pretty tough and hardworking. We didn't have much money at all. And I always sort of grew up knowing that I just want to take people away from their troubles. And you guys, I see that in you as well. They're working hard. They're struggling to pay bills. They've probably got shit going on in their life. The traffic sucks. Their job's probably horrible. But at least we can sit them down and just give them the two hours of their life. And music is such a great thing that heals the soul and makes you feel alive and electric. To be the givers and providers of that energy, God, that must feel good.
It's amazing because as an audience member, when I see things, I feel the same way. When I get goosebumps watching someone perform and go home and then watch it more and want to experience that more. It's a beautiful feeling to kind of escape the stuff that we unfortunately face every day. But you're absolutely right, and I guess we've been lucky enough, since we're teenagers, we've been doing this, and to be able to continue doing that and evolve and through different mediums. I mean, yes, you can do it through television and other studio mediums too, which is great also. But to be able to keep evolving and keep being able to do that at the moment, and also in a fickle industry, as we said before, to be able to not have a real job yet, it's not bad.
How do you go working together? Like, give us the nitty, because we work together reluctantly at the moment.
We hated each other
don't
when
like
we first
working
worked together. We literally hated each other.
Yay, it's threatening divorce papers every day. Yay!
It definitely 85 to 90% of the time it's good. But yeah, it has its moments and it is challenging because I think we're both, he's very stubborn. I'm not going to lie. He's very opinionated and he's much better.
Keep talking, Pinocchio.
No, but he's also, shut up.
Who's the boss? Who's the boss?
No. This is the thing. He's very good with words. I'm just like this bogan. Yeah, I'm a bogan wog boy. And then he's just very.
I grew up in the western suburbs of Sydney.
I know
you're a bogan boy.
But you just know how to be a little bit more eloquent when you're trying to put an argument forward. Like you would have been really good on the debate team at school, whereas I would have got an invite to go to the debate team and just go, my debate is can't be bothered, fuck off.
Well, they're pretty good words.
Yeah.
That's hard to argue against.
I get myself into trouble a lot because I'm just extremely direct with a resting bitch face. And if I can't be bothered, I can't be bothered. Whereas he's just, he's more worldly.
like half seriously though, like we said, this is the first time we've ever toured together and we've been together for 16 years. So we met on a musical. So we worked together when we first met. But we haven't, apart from the odd performance or, maybe I've gotten up on stage at his concert or what have you, or I've made sure he came on a TV show I was hosting, so you have to do it. Beyond that, this is the first time we've really worked together. And that's been a conscious decision too, because we do separate things. We are separate people. I mean, we cross over. I mean, I'm a singer, but I can honestly say I'm not as great a singer as Anth, and we perform different styles. But we've actually been a great support team for each other over the years. Like we actually can. The good thing is in our relationship, and I think it's good in any relationship, that jealousy doesn't exist. Once jealousy comes into it, oh my God, it's destructive.
How do you have a relationship where you're in hoity-toity, red carpety circles, there are things going on, life is a fast ride for the both of you. How does jealousy never enter your relationship?
Because I just, personally, I just don't buy into that shit. I used to back in the day, but I definitely don't buy into that shit anymore. Like, if I don't have to do a red carpet again in my life, I wouldn't. I just love getting in the recording studio and I love performing live on stage. I understand that, all of these other components come with the territory, but like that does not drive me at all.
But I just kind of think, I think we want the best for each other. Like, I want the best for Anth, and I don't. Maybe it's a comfort thing within yourself. Like I know that Anthony is an extraordinary singer. I think I'm very good at hosting, singing, and a couple of things, but I'm not extraordinary at anything, and that's okay. I know where I sit in the
You're
echelon of
extraordinary
entertainment.
at being a pain in the ass.
Well, you know, and the trophy goes too. But also, and look, you know, I know that Anthony's more famous than me, if you want to say things like that. But that's okay, because I know how the industry works, and I'm fine with that. So I don't understand why.
I just think
I
jealousy.
could be jealous of that, or because reality is something and I guess it's your own reality. We have our own truth. We've got our own reality. My reality is that this is where I sit in my work. This is where I sit in my personal life. I would give up tomorrow. If it was going to be destructive to our relationship, I will give up performance tomorrow. I'd also be happy for Ant to keep singing for the rest of life, make enough money that I don't have to perform. I'm happy to retire tomorrow.
And likewise.
Yeah.
And likewise, I'm like seriously, when he got that gig on Wheel of Fortune, like we have a joke about it once in a while because
No one would know it even existed.
I know, like it lasted for 5 seconds.
It was
but when
$1 million Wheel of Fortune, I might add, wasn't it?
It was never going to be.
Yeah. but when he got that gig, and this was early on in the relationship, I'm like, oh, this is great, because I'm like, if this wheel keeps spinning, I don't have to rock up to work. I know.
Like, at the time, we're like, just keep the wheel spinning, keep the wheel spinning.
And I think it lasted a hot minute, and I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
6 months.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, fuck, I have to go out and sing the fucking prayer again.
I've got 2 questions out of that. Tim, you are so wise.
Yeah, very evolved.
Yeah. Like, I feel like you've come full circle. Yeah, because you're a lot wiser than most people that I've ever spoken to in the industry.
Where's that come from?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't grow up in entertainment. I don't know if that's the thing. Like, my whole background is, my dad was a banker, my brother's an accountant. I was, at the age of 18, I had a cadetship with one of the biggest accounting firms in the world, or to become a performer, and I went that direction. I mean, I knew I was going to eventually, but I don't know. I've never. Maybe it's the western suburbs. I grew up again in a kind of low socio, and that kind of bringing, and you kind of find your feet. And I also
He's just an overachiever.
No. I've been saying I haven't trained in anything. I've been faking my way to the middle for years, and I love it. But I guess what Ant said before is that we found a good work-life balance. And I love that. In fact, I'm probably the most happiest in that work-life balance I've ever been in my life. So why would I want to destroy that or change that? Or not that it means your creative juices don't stop and that you evolve, and like we've got these concerts and we're doing different things, but I just at the end of the day, it's the greatest job in the world, but it's just a job. Yeah,
and the thing is too, it's going off that, it's sometimes really hard to say no to things. Like, but I've made a real conscious effort now going, is that going to make me happy? It's going to make me money, but is that going to make me happy?
And that's when I say, yeah, but paying off the mortgage makes me happy. So,
but it's I think we
That's
both
good.
could make a lot more money than what we do sometimes. And I think about it and I go, but I would rather not do that and just do what I do to make me happy. What, do I need another house? Do I need another car? Like, I don't need that. What I need is happiness. And I don't want to look back in 20, 30 years time going, oh, I wish I did that. Like the fact that, we can work and then, we don't have kids, we don't have a dog at the moment. Like to be able just to go, oh, next week there's a gap in the diary or something, we can go away. And they're like, they're really beautiful moments for us.
And it's a privilege.
Yeah.
Like we know a lot of people can't do that. So the fact that we can is not to shove in front of people's faces, but it's about choices. And I guess, sacrifices. And we're very lucky. Like we are very lucky in that. We've also, I want to say a bit of luck, and also we've kind of skewed our life to head in that direction as well. So I just want to announce our retirement.
This is your final tour, John Farnham.
We're here with a box of wine when you need us. Come and enjoy.
Hey, I'll ask you both this. Anthony, what's your favourite quality of Tim and your least favourite quality?
Oh, God, why can you
Don't rush to the second one first.
Why can you ask him the question first? Give me some time to think about it.
Okay, Tim, you go first then. What is
No, I can answer it. Okay. It's fine. The beautiful thing about Tim is I'm going to give 2. He makes me feel safe, which I absolutely love. But he also is that person with our friendships. the relationships that we have, he puts everyone else first before him. That's a detriment to him at times. I think we can have an argument about that, but it's, you know, he makes me feel safe and loved and supported, and he puts a lot of people ahead of his own self, which I think is very admirable.
Yeah.
Oh,
And least favourite quality?
Least favourite quality.
Let me get the scroll.
He can be quite stubborn though when he wants to be.
No, I can't.
That's the second time you've said that in this podcast.
Yeah.
So clearly there's something there.
Yeah. He can be stubborn. And he also is that person that he walks into a room, leaves the vanity cupboard open, gets off the couch, doesn't fluff the pillow again, doesn't do and then just be considerate, because I've just cleaned the house. Just let it be clean for 5 minutes. Come on, help me here.
He's probably working through enormous contracts on your behalf that are full of legal jargon, and his head is in a completely different space.
Or he's talking to all the friends.
I didn't ask you the question.
You're just trying to relate, aren't you? You're trying to see where you fit in this dynamic, aren't you?
Oh, what about you, Tim? Favourite and least favourite?
You actually stole mine, because and this is actually what I fell in love with Ant initially, was his selflessness. And it's funny, people may not believe that because they might see the guy that, dresses really well and, lives this kind of, Instagram life. It ain't true. But I actually think you put people before you more than I do. You're the one who always reaches out to people when people, and when I say people, I mean, especially our friendship, friends as well. You're the first one they reach out to, because they know they can rely on you, and you are a vault when you need to be a vault. And I actually think you put people before yourself, and you're the one that always touches base with people on a weekly basis, which I'm hideously guilty of not doing that and should do it more often. So it's actually, and you're the one who, if someone's sick at home, Ant's the one who will bring the soup and some cotoletta and all that around to their home when they're feeling they need just some food. I know it's an old Wog thing to do as well, but it's such a beautiful quality that still exists inside of you. And worst. So I hate the fact that you need your pillows, karate chops. You can't leave the vanities things open. Hi, Santina. He's like his mum. He's got OCD. So I love living in a display home, but sometimes I just want to be at home. There's my...
You couldn't have kids then, by the sounds of it, because they just destroy the joint.
Oh, God. No. We couldn't even have a dog. That was enough. Who sheds hair? No shit, Sherlock. That's what dogs do.
No. If we ever had kids, we'd probably have 2 homes. He would live with the kids.
And let's just say the kids would have a massive Uber account. What do you pick you up from soccer training? I'll get you an Uber, mate.
Classic.
I'm not waking up early in the morning.
Oh, classic. I love it. Oh, this is this has been
fun.
a really lovely.
We should have done this with wine.
We absolutely
did this at
should
the
have.
wrong end of the day.
Yeah, I know. Wow.
Novice, see?
Yeah.
We can always do part 2. It's the drunken series.
Yeah, that's right. Can't wait for Tim to pass out on the lounge before the Zoom finishes.
Hey, can I talk about something in the in the news recently? Dicko claimed, I think it might have been Dicko claimed, because he was in the Jungle Show recently, that he might have accidentally or tried to out you in Idol. Was that how it played out?
Okay, long story short, behind the scenes, I knew from day one that he wanted to, basically out me on Idol, but wanted to force me to say it. He didn't want to physically say it.
Because it was a great story, it was good for the show and the ratings, or he just sort of... I
think there was a part of him that wanted to help me, but what he was doing was not helping me at the time, because I wasn't in the right headspace to be able to deal with that, as well as everything else. And I remember John Foreman, Erin Clark, the vocal coach on the show, and a few people behind the scenes were like, Anth, just so you know, there's a bit of talk going on. Expect maybe a curveball thrown at you. And what he said was something along the lines of the gays, grannies, and the girls love you. Marsha stepped in to try and squash the conversation going any further. And I just felt as though from day one, though, behind the scenes, we just didn't connect. Do I dislike the guy? Absolutely not. Like, I ran into him a few years ago. We're getting off a plane on Hamilton Island. It's fine. Like, I don't hold any grudges against him. He thought he was obviously doing the best for me at the time, but I just clearly wasn't ready because I was still trying to find myself.
And let's be honest, that behaviour is classic closet case. Like, Dicko is a massive queen. I'm joking. I'm joking.
He's the gayest straight man I know.
I want to know about the helicopter traffic reporter person. Have you seen that
person?
I want to say douche, but are we allowed to say that? I don't know.
Let's not say that.
I just feel like that's a bit.
I don't think I've seen him. I don't even remember him. If I walked past him in the street now, I don't even know what he looks like.
Right. Do you hold any anger towards him, or you've worked through that?
No, I don't hold
grudges.
Can I be honest? I don't really hold any anger against anyone.
That's good.
That's healthy. Are you not? What about? Are you just? Were you pissed off that you weren't able to do it on your own terms, in your own words, at your own time? Like, just make it yours, your moment.
Of course, but I can't change the past.
Yeah.
And as I've said in the past, I dealt with the situation the best way that I could at the time, and I'm not apologizing for that. I know my truth and what was going on around me, and we've only just scratched the surface, but it was really difficult for me at the time. And it was not easy for me to wake up every day and do my job, let alone deal with that scenario. And I just dealt with it the best way that I could. And maybe in hindsight, who knows? Maybe it was a good thing that happened for me. I don't know.
It's funny, if I can say from the outside, because obviously I've seen it and lived it, is that you did hold grudges and didn't like those people. Some people, like issues you have with your first manager and all that kind of thing, for many years. But also you've also, this was a perfect time for you to write the book. You probably couldn't have written the book 5 or 10 years ago because you weren't ready to kind of face these things. You didn't forget they were repressed, and so you've actually kind of worked through. This book has actually been quite cathartic for you because you've kind of worked through a lot of this stuff and come to a resolve that
some people call it cathartic. I call it a head fuck.
But how good is it?
Like therapy.
That life sometimes, at the time, it might feel something that's traumatic or it's the wrong thing to have happen, and it's only in retrospect later on you realise that it was actually a gift. And it's nice that you can see, you look back at various moments in your career and realise the gifts and little presents along the way that at the time might not have felt like gifts or presents.
No,
and to quote the great philosopher Kelly Clarkson, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Is that a song you do in your double act?
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
No.
Where can people see you guys in your big show? Give yourselves a plug.
We've already done 4 shows in Melbourne and we've done 3 in Adelaide, but the rest of the tour continues in October, November. So it's every weekend in October, November.
Want to do the dates?
Because I'm really bad with memory.
So we did the 4 in Melbourne. We've got another 6 to go in Melbourne. We were meant to do 4 shows in Melbourne. It's now 10. So
Great.
Melbourne have been incredible. So October and November, there's only 1 show that's tickets are available now. But then we're in Sydney in October. We're going to Hobart. We're going to Perth and Mandurah, up north to Caloundra and Gold Coast. So pretty much all over the country, we're taking the show. And like I say, we weren't doing that initially. It was just a bit of a self-indulgent, mini tour, and now it's turned into a whole nationwide thing.
It's literally a ticket into our lounge room, but we've brought the entire full band, and it's literally a party.
And for those who follow us on social media in the lockdowns, we're bringing the robes as well. So
yeah.
That's awesome.
No, Tim's had his bikini wax in case it comes out.
Yeah. Do you think you might come to Bathurst?
Yeah. It's bursting metropolis.
I've been out to Bathurst many times. Obviously, I grew up in Campbelltown, so it wasn't that really far, out anyhow. But true. I've come out for the Small Business Awards a lot of times in Bathurst as well, and would love to. It was actually a timing thing because there are other cities and other big towns that we haven't been able to go just from a timing point of view. Like I say, we can't do the tour until October, November, and then even finding other dates just didn't work. So we kind of now because audiences have been incredible to us, we are thinking about the future. So, yes.
Well, if you're not coming to Bathurst, you missed out because I'm pretty mad on the spoons. I can belt those bastards like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, yeah.
Good to know. I'll let Jessica Melboy know.
Yeah. In fact, I think isn't there a certain single out there as well, Grant? We might be able to get that out live as well.
Driving home for Christmas. Can't wait to see those faces. Boys, this is...
auto-tune needed.
Well, if you want to see Anthony wearing enormous glasses driving 3 BMWs, you can see him on Instagram anytime you like. Tim Campbell.
It's not BMW. I have a Mercedes. Dear.
Whatever.
It is.
Clearly, I'm not paying enough attention.
And make sure you go and get Anthony's book.
Behind the Voice.
Yeah.
Look,
I'm holding it up
it's
him.
funny. It is bloody honest.
Yeah.
It's a real open look into the entertainment business. I know I get a lot of people come up to me and go, how do I be famous? And that's really all they want to achieve. Read this because it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's hard work. It doesn't always go your way. And there are moments of triumph and there are moments of tragedy along the way. And I think you've documented them beautifully, young man. Thanks for opening your heart.
And really hot picture on the front.
Damn, girl.
Wow.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was like literally
Photoshop.
It was not. It was like 8. It was 8 degrees that morning. We took that shot, and we're in like this garage, and they're just pouring water all over me, and I'm just like, okay.
But you had to take the nipples out of the shot.
Yeah, I could have cut glass with those nipples.
Is that what he looks like when he gets out of the shower, or is that what he looks like when he's asking you to fluff the pillows and close the closets?
Close the cupboard doors. I think this is a bit of a blue steel face, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a bit of a,
He never looks like that. I want to meet that guy.
That is a let me slide into your MySpace DMs look. That's what that is.
No, I don't want old men sliding into my MySpace DMs. I want young, hot guys.
Is
Slide
MySpace
away,
still a
tap
thing?
away.
No, I don't think so. I don't think MySpace exists anymore.
Whatever DM platforms we have, young boys slide in. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God. We've had
And that
so
is
much
the
fun.
only headline that'll come from this episode.
Yeah. And I can't wait for part 2 where we all get pissed.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I think I vote for a piss version of this episode. So hit us up in our comments and let us know. If you agree, if we should be, say, 4 bottles deep and do this podcast again, let us know because I'm all for it.
Obviously.
You know what? We'll come to Bathurst for that. We're doing it in our studio.
Yay! A live one.
Thanks, legends.
Thanks,
Enjoy
guys.
the remainder of your tour. Thanks for sharing your gift with us.
Yep. We love
Thanks,
you.
guys. Thanks for having us.
Love you,
Bye.
legends. All the best.
See ya.
You too. Bye.
Now let's kick them off so we can talk about them while they're not on the line.
Leave.
Oh, they you have to say, not everybody is as grateful as what those two are. They have come full circle, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. I think when you've had it, you've probably maybe not lost it, but it's wound right down to the point where you're going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to work in this anymore, whether I'm still relevant or whether the industry still wants me or whether the audience still likes me. And then you have this, resurgence and it comes back. You're so much more grateful the second time around. Yeah. And, it's good. And I do remember Anthony in his younger years. I think I must have interviewed him for something, and I remember there being a list of things that you can't do and you can't say, and the questions were pre-planned, and it was
That just makes you feel like you are inadequate.
Yeah,
another
and I remember, he wasn't comfortable in his own skin, but that's so good to see him like that now.
He is fully evolved, and I have so much time for them.
That was fun.
Yeah, Behind the Voice. What a great book.
Hope you've enjoyed the episode, everybody.
Oh, that was great. Okay, well, we'll catch
Maybe we
you
should
next
just start
time.
a separate podcast, which is called It's All Hammered.
Maybe that sounds.
It's all true. We're drunk.
That sounds like a legal suit waiting to happen.
Sounds fun to me. Sounds real fun.
For me, it sounds like a legal suit.
Thanks for listening to It's All True. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
It's All True, the podcast with Grant and Shezzy Denya.
Bye